Honey, you left the key outside. Huh? I'm home. I'm home. Baby.
Hello, madam. Neighbor, have you seen my wife around today?
I saw her pack some bags and drop off this morning.
My son, our daughter has told us the problem between you and her. And my advice to you is that sex is good in marriage, actually. But you don't make it the most of your matrimony. So, for you to keep your house and your marriage, you will know how to control your appetite. I mean, what do you say?
You've said it all. Jide, I beg of you, don't kill my daughter because of sex. Try and control your appetite, eh? I know you know what I mean.
I do. I'll do as you say, ma. So as to preserve my home. I'll do that.
We have spoken with her anyway, and she has agreed to follow you home.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, but on one condition. You are to exhibit your sexual appetite towards her only once a week.
Yes. Baby. Can't it be more?
Well, it's your marriage. She's our daughter. We cannot impose anything on her or drive her, but the two of you have to agree on that. But once you make a conclusion, there's an agreement between you, the two of you, she's free to follow you.
Let's talk this over. Sir, please. Talk to me on my behalf now.
Well, we have done our own part. You two have to come together and reach a conclusion. See?
Exactly, correct.
So, Steino, what's going on now in my absence? You know I've been out of town for a month now, and with the situation with my wife. Bah, come on guy, not do. No, not really, no. My wife only gave me a condition I have not been able to measure up with now. Having sex once in a week? Man, that's outrageous. So I'm speaking to you right now, guy. My hormones are raging. Seriously, not be joke. Sure. Oh. Please, in as much as I'm having this challenge, you can't be telling me about such indiscipline now. Should I have an extra girlfriend? I have a girlfriend rather. Any extramarital affair, not be for me, please. No. Please don't. Sure. How about to you? Oh. Okay. Guy, I just get confused, child. I don't hear you. I'll think about it. Bye. Bye. I don't hear. Man. I have a girlfriend outside.
Good day viewers, you are welcome to today's episode of Decisions. Today we'll be handling an issue that is titled Demand and Supply, a situation where the demand of sex by the husband could not be met by the wife. And to discuss the issue today, I have with me three persons. To my near right here, I have Deaconess Mofe Otomi. She's the Vice Principal of Rural College in Efron. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, dear viewers.
Okay, and just after her, I have Reverend Emmanuel Ufwa, the Senior Pastor of Rema Place Ministries, Airport Road, Warri. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
And to my far right, I have Dr. Ufoma Adu. He's the doctor at Ebony Clinic in Warri. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
And I will be your anchor for today. My name is Akimbola Praise. You're welcome to the program for today. We're looking at a situation where a wife suddenly wakes up one day and feels that she can no longer cope with the demands of marriage in terms of sex, and then she runs away. I don't know how often this happens, but we've seen it in this situation now. I'd like to ask one question first to Reverend Ufwa. How important is sex in marriage that can lead to such a situation where someone just packs up and runs away?
Thank you so much, moderator. I want to say that sex is at the center stage of marriage. It's important. And if it is not well handled, it could lead to a lot of issues that the husband and the wife may not even be able to express to a third party. And that is when you ask a husband or wife, what's the problem? And they say, don't mind her. He says, don't mind him. Know that such a matter could arise from the lack of sex or effective sexual communication in a marriage.
Okay, so now between this woman now, I think Christy by name, and her husband. That means there's a kind of gap, right?
There's a gap, a very big gap.
Okay, but the gap is it only in terms of sex or also in communication from the way we see?
Like I said earlier, lack of sex or effective sex can lead to any other complication. So in that example that we saw just now, there's a communication problem already between the husband and the wife. There's no communication.
Okay. Deaconess Mofe, I think even the scripture says something about sex or husband and wife not denying themselves, right? Of their rights. In this situation now, can we classify that Christy has denied her husband of his right?
I wouldn't say so. In the first place, I could see that they didn't have a good foundation before they went into marriage. These days, you don't just jump into marriage, you go, they teach you a lot of things, sex, in marriage inclusive. They tell you what to expect when you get there. You've not known this person before, you've lived apart, you have different backgrounds, and now you are coming together. Obviously, you might not, be, the same type of persons. So there is need for the man and the woman to know that when I get into marriage, it could be like this. The man could demand this, and what do I do? So the man too should understand that sex in marriage is not something you just ask for anytime. You need to get the consent of your wife. And it's not just sex, the final thing. Sex is like a final stage. So there are many things you do to enjoy marriage and enjoy sex in marriage. So the man should not just want it all the time and not care whether the woman wants it or not. The woman's own position is very important. But in this case, they are supposed to talk about it, how you feel and all that. They didn't. The woman just packed her things and just went off to her parents, which was wrong.
Okay.
They are supposed to discuss.
Somehow, I want to think that perhaps in an attempt to talk about it, and maybe the husband is not listening. Or maybe he's just incapable of listening. But Dr. Adu, once a week, can we put a schedule on sex in marriage?
Sex, you can't put a schedule. It can be once a week, it's a mutual thing. So that's why at the end point, seeing that the one that's factored is a long process. So a lot of things will have taken place.
Some couples have it twice, even within marriage. Sometimes it can be twice a week. Sometimes it goes to 4 or 5 times. It depends within the same couple. So you can put the timeline, because sex is not something you program. I want to have sex once a week like a contract. It's not a contract. It's a mutual thing. Okay, of them come together.
Now, in this situation now, are there any psychological landmines for the husband and the wife that can blow out of proportion?
Oh yes. That's what we're saying. She's already getting stressed up and she cannot cope with it. That is already actually sex in marriage and inability of couples to cope with sex in marriage. A lot of psychological and even psychiatric problems between couples. So sex alone and couples able to cause a lot of medical problems between.
Reverend Ufasa, should such an issue between a husband and a wife get to the in-laws place?
The woman was too fast. Like you said, Dickness, the issue should have been discussed between the both of them before going outside to a third party. She just packed her things and went to meet her parents. She was wrong. You don't do that. And then the parents did also help her. They started giving commandments, 10 commandments to the husband once a week. Presumption. But it's observation.
It was what their daughter requested. That's the only reason, the only
parents should have rebuked her. They should have rebuked her sharply. Go back to your husband and settle the matter.
Okay, so do we say now that the parents are being partial?
No, the parents,
or they are being protective?
Naturally, they are just being protective. They feel they brought an issue to them and they want to decide that issue. So you could see to the immaturity of the parents too. You don't sit over they didn't sit over your own parents, didn't sit over your own marriage to tell you how many times a week. But you will understand that it's a problem of compatibility and I'm sure too, I hope the man too does not have a problem, because sometimes some people think that sex is the ultimate and they want it at all costs, and sometimes it might just be too much emphasis on that area and the woman cannot cope. So if the man does not have a problem, he's somebody that can be talked to, and then you marry the situation.
I hope Dickness is not getting biased about this matter.
No, it's possible to the man it's possible to the man has a problem.
Because every man is not the same.
Yes,
we don't all have the same sexual drive.
Yes.
The man could be someone who will want it every hour.
Someone else may be someone who wants once in a year, once a week, as it were. So I think I don't think the man has a problem. It's just a peculiarity to him. That's how I see it.
You know, I think we can control things. Like we can control our appetite for food. Sometimes you marry a man that eats too much food, and then you say, okay, this is not too good for you. Let's cut it down. You can control sex too. You can cut it down.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not that you
Now,
his life.
talking about control, what can the man do for him to control himself?
The question of everybody is about self-control in everything. But even in sex, since it's mutual, it's not because the man is demanding more, he's the one that has a problem with control. The woman can also be seen to be motivated to improve her sexual drive. Because it's both ways. Because if the man needs it more and the woman says no, he cannot be pushed outside. But if the woman doesn't need it so much and just leave her, there are issues. Sex is not, I know, because of the composition of men and women, a man actual appetite for sex seems a bit mechanical. The man can just even call the wife and have sex the next minute. But the woman, because of her emotional composition, she needs to be worked up psychologically to be prepared for sex. So that's how both of them need to reinforce and help one another. So that if this one is this way, this can help this one on the other part.
Okay.
Man tends to be mechanical, the woman tends to be psychological. Okay, it's like two different parts of a machine. Okay, now, before we take a break, I would like to ask one more question. Now, what can the man do in this situation to ensure that the woman doesn't go out to her own parents, or the issue doesn't go out? What would the guy have done in his house to narrow or to do damage control within his own? Is there anything he could have done?
I think the most important thing in marriage is communication. It's a foundation for marriage. For any relationship and much more in marriage, I've been able to share our feelings, our fears, our strengths, our weaknesses with the other party and get support is key. So if there's any point there's communication gap or communication breakdown, you now look for someone else to express. That's why within marriage, whether it's financial issue or like sexual issues are weakened, people must be able to share their minds and be free to communicate whatever I feel like and gain understanding from the partner.
Okay.
Moderator, the greatest weapon for sex is the mind. The man should work on the wife's mind. Love her. Okay. Prepare her.
Okay.
She will be the one asking for sex every day.
Okay. We'll be taking a short break and then we'll be back. Then we'll look at how can a man make a woman to be looking for sex every day. Stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers, to the second segment of this discussion on demand and supply. Just before we went on break, we heard the Reverend Ufua telling us that it is possible for a man to work on the mind of a woman to the extent that she becomes the one that is even driving sex in the marriage. Reverend, are there tools that a man can use to do this job?
Sure. Number one.
You see, like we said earlier, one is always more experienced than the other in most cases. Okay. If the man is more experienced than the woman, let him teach the woman. They could use books, they could use visuals, and they could use practical realities in bed. Number two, the man should show the woman romantic love, not just in bed. Before you meet her in the night, send out text messages, work on her mind, work on her emotions. She'll be worked up. She'll be full. Before you get her, she's swollen already. And then before you know it, she will enjoy it. If the woman enjoys it, she has no reason to go to her parents who will instruct her to have it once a week. She will enjoy it. And then sometimes you could also make her know the blessedness in sexual pleasure. Make her know that this is for our pleasure. And then be selfless in your love making. When you are making love to your wife, be selfless. Don't be selfish. Don't be conscious of you enjoying it alone. Also make her enjoy it. The woman may not even know the sensitive parts of her body that will require the touch of the man. Let the man browse on her body. By the time he browses her and she understands the sensitive part of her body, I'm telling you, she will be the one asking for it next time.
Wow.
Yeah.
The woman is the entertainment, right? What do you say about that?
He's very correct. He's very correct. You know, the woman, we use our ears a lot. We want to feel what is happening. We want to hear you talk to us.
Even when you know it already?
Yes, when we know it already. We don't assume. We are not machines. Okay. So you need to discuss with the woman and ask her how she's feeling. Know if she has enjoyed that particular episode before you talk about the next one that's going to come. So from mommy, she's expecting it, and she knows, and your pocket too and other things will fall in for this one.
We don't know maybe there are financial undertones here.
I will take her out, talk to her, call her. Life has become softer. You talk to her in the morning, she hears your voice, you say, are you expecting me this evening? She knows where he's going to. And sometimes when I even talk to my husband in public, people don't understand we are calculating maths. You don't know that's what we are calculating. What's going to happen tonight? So the woman needs to hear, the woman needs to be prepared. You don't just pounce on the woman, it does not make sense.
Okay, in this, Dr. Abu, just should I call it a professional question? Now, in this age where it seems there's from statistics, maybe not official statistics, but it seems there's a lot of cases of rising infertility, and sex, we know, is something that needs to be done before a child comes up. For a woman that begins to say she can only cope with once in a week, which is 4 times in a month, which is 52 times in a year, perhaps that's something, that's statistics. Now, does it have any implication on childbearing on her side? Can we look at it from that angle?
Actually, if it has to do with sex about having a child, then at least we define infertility. A couple should have had sex 3 times a week. Currently now 18 months. So a couple should have had regular sexual intercourse, which is what we say regular sexual intercourse is 3 times a week for a period of about 18 months, and they've not had an issue. They will now say yes, there's a problem with fertility. So if you're having sex once a week, then 4 times a month, then the chances are very reduced for that couple to achieve conception, and they will have problem with childbearing. Okay. Of course, we know that a couple can have sex just once and they could have a child, but we're talking about over a period of time and several people.
Okay. That's a good one. So I think we can put some statistics on it, that on the average 3 times a week.
Depends on how the other one
Doctor just said that. Yeah? Okay. But I know when you go to the doctor and they begin to cross-examine you, do some medical checkup, they have to ask some questions. Okay, before they begin to say that this is an issue, there are certain thresholds that should have been crossed. I think that should be the reason for that. Okay. Now, if the coin had been flipped and say the woman is one demanding all the time and the man cannot meet up, is there any difference in approach? Is there anything that could have been done a different way apart from what we said? Okay, we talked about communication between them, fine, that's mutual. We talked about, okay, send text to the woman is psychological, the man is mechanical. Okay, for the man who is mechanical now, like as Dickness said, the woman wants to hear it all the time, even when she knows it, and the man wants to stop talking what he has said before. He said it before, why is he saying it again? Okay, now, if the man is the one that is not interested and the woman is the one with the hyper drive, what is there any difference in approach? Reverend Ufasa?
There's no much difference, because they are both in the same boats. And
there are cases like that in counseling, and what we tell them is what we also tell the woman. The man is the head of the home. If the woman is more experienced than the man, and the man is the one that says once a week, the approach is the same. Counsel the man. Or else you may drive your woman out of the house. She may look for satisfaction elsewhere, and that becomes precarious. So the man should, as a matter of duty, not defraud the woman of her rights. He should meet with her as much as possible, as frequent as possible, in order to maintain balance in the home. If not, he will have problems to settle. And when you come to the pastor or the doctor, some don't open up because of a feeling of failure. Okay. Yeah, they tend to cover it all. And the truth is that there are certain people you must tell truth. Your pastor, your lawyer, your doctor. If not, you are in hell on earth.
Okay. Dr. Adusa, for Christy's husband now, in his current situation, he's been given a demand that he cannot meet up with just once a week, and I believe he's trying to be honest. Otherwise, he could have said, okay, yes, I accept. Then when the woman goes back home, it's back to the same situation. But we see that he's trying to take a stand. He cannot meet up with once a week. I think he even asked whether it cannot be twice or thrice. Can it not be more? So that means he wants more of it. But now he finds himself in the midst of like friends. He was talking to one of his friends that was telling him to get an assistant wife somewhere. Okay. Now what can he do now in the situation where he is now to get his wife back home or to work on himself? What are the practical things he can do from the stage he is in right now?
One is whenever they say knowing your problem, you solve it 50%. So I think they need to talk and identify their problem between themselves, communication. They need to know their problem. Then they go back home. You can tell the wife, okay, once a week, let's go home. When we get home, we'll talk. Because fundamentally, you don't need to, it's not a contract. You can't sign that it's once a month and it's going to stand. So they need to go back home first and sit down and say, let's solve our problem. We are of age, we are married. Marriage is not for kids. You should be mature to know what your problem is and solve it within your own household. So you could even tell the parents, yes, I agree. But when we get her back home, I need to talk to my wife. Because even if the wife says 3 times a week, we need not go and say, now I've agreed this 3 times a week. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we must do it.
You carry a calendar.
It doesn't work that way. So the agreement before the parents of once or twice, they've not sign a contract and they now start implementing it rigidly. So they need to go back home and sit and say, okay, what do we do? What is our past? What are the challenges we are facing? How do we make it work? How do we raise the desires between one another? That's what we need to do. Not say that we sign once a week or 3 times a week in your father's house. Therefore, it is law. No, let's solve the problem.
Okay, that's good. Business, you support that. You should agree to the once a week first.
Okay. If he could agree to that, to bring her back home and then try other things as well. I think too, if the man is occupied, it's not just sex issue. He could involve himself in sports. He could do a lot of reading. They could read together. They could do sports together. They could do a lot of other outdoor games together. When they come back home, they are tired, and then he should do a lot of talking to her. He should do a lot of talking to reassure her of his love and all that. You see that, and talk to her. Let her tell him how she feels each time or what's on her mind. Make her the central figure. Make her know that you want to know what's happening to her. You're not just using her to dump her. You adore her. You love her. You want to express something to her, and then she will understand that it's not just because she's married and then she's a machine.
Earlier on, Christy, you heard that only 6 solutions from those who have it available. You don't have to go to the places where you cannot get help. And for the husband also, or men out there who find themselves in such situations, as they say, you can work on your wife and make her into the person that you want her to become. So for anyone out there who finds themselves in such situations, those are practical answers for you. And we wish you the very best. So thank you all for coming, for dealing with this issue. We are very, very grateful to have you. So for our viewers out there, we want you to stick with us right on the same station, same time, same next week. I remain Akimbola Praise, your anchor for the program. Thank you and bye-bye.
Here